What was it like playing in New York, though, as far as like having Torts there? That must have been an experience.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? Torts was one of my favorite coaches. He was a hard ass, but I mean, I loved coaches that he was passionate, he cared, great X's and O's, always a great game plan. Always we always knew what to expect out of the other team, and we always knew what we were doing in every situation. So, um, and he was just an honest coach. If you sucked, he was going to tell you that you sucked, and I appreciate that. And he didn't care if you made 8 million or you made 1 million. He kind of treated you all the same, right? So, I loved him, and my time in New York was some of my best hockey I played, right? So, it was definitely a great experience.
Well, you must have liked him because you played for him twice.
Torts,
Wasn't it twice that you went to him? Just the once, eh?
just the once. I was in New York with him for 3 years, yeah, and then I had Terry in Montreal, and then in Vancouver we just missed each other. He went to Van, and then he was out of Van when I got there.
I feel like he gets like such a bad reputation of just like being such a hard ass and like no like there has to be a soft side to him where he's nice with the guys or whatnot that you'd seen.
He's good. He's good. He always, you could always chirp with him and make fun of him. He'd make fun of you. Yeah, he was good, and he was good with fans and good family man. Right, he had good values, and new family came first. And but when it came to hockey, he was passionate as hell and wore his heart on his sleeve. So I liked it. It doesn't, some people like when he went out to Vancouver, that team wasn't built for a military coach, right? There's some teams that are, even when he first got to Philly, they were, and even Columbus, right? They had soldiers, right? They had guys that were ready to go to war. But you get to a team that's, used to playing together and used to, Alain Vignon, and they could kind of do whatever they want. And then they had this drill sergeant come in. They're just like, you, buddy, get out of here, right? So, like, it was just, I mean, I played Vancouver. I knew that, like, I heard it firsthand from some of these guys. Like, they were just, no, you're not coming in here and bossing us around. Basically, they
Well,
had their little boys, they had their boys club. So, I think that's kind of what didn't work there.
Well, I think you would hang your hat on the fact that you were an old school style player. He's an old school style coach, and I mean, looking at the game now, those guys are starting to be less and less behind the bench, and even some of these players are less and less that way. Where you don't coach a team anymore, you coach individuals.
Oh man, it's crazy. I mean, I'm now that I'm in coaching, I see it all just like that. That it's I mean, you're just doing a lot of back rubbing. You're just trying to hurt nobody's feelings, right? And just kind of make sure everybody's good. It's just a little bit different. You can't like some of the coaches that I had, oh my God, they would tear your soul out. They would just rip you, right? Like I've seen coaches make grown men cry, and they just get back out and nothing really happens. But now you got to be, you definitely got to coach a different way, teach, and for me, for my philosophy is just be honest with these guys, right? Like my door's open, but I'm going to be brutally honest. If you played like shit or you're not competing, I'm going to let you know, right? So, but you got to try and you got to try and keep everybody happy. You got to manage players, and I think coaches, I think Torts started learning that, and I think he got better at that, adapting to managing players, right, and trying to make sure because you want everybody happy, right? If you have a couple miserable guys, it really affects the whole team. So you're trying to do your best to make everybody happy.
Now, do you find that the game is moving in the right direction, or do you think you could spice a little bit of that old school in there?
Uh, it's tough to say. Obviously, we're kind of old school guys, right? And I think the fighting is kind of obviously junior. It's kind of going backwards. They can only have, or not backwards. I mean, they're you can have 3 fights now, and you start. I remember we had 34 one year in junior. These guys are allowed 3, and they start getting suspended. So it's different that way. But I think the NHL has done a good job at kind of that fighting seems to be coming back a bit. Guys are sticking up for each other, but it's just more middleweights. You don't have those big heavyweights anymore. You got just a lot of middleweights going together. So you watch the fights and they're like, oh, that was a great fight. And, in your head, you're like, that's just because they didn't really know how to fight. They were just chucking, right? So, but I mean, it's tough to say. Obviously, it's changing. It's a lot of skill out there. And I remember Torts actually said something in an interview. He said it's a dumb game now, and it is. It's true because nobody watches hockey anymore. These kids, they just watch highlights. They cannot sit down and watch a full hockey game. Like I gave my guys even homework. I was like, watch an NHL game tonight. Pick one game and watch it. Please just watch it because they don't see how plays develop. They didn't see how they saw the 2 passes before the goal, but they didn't see how they broke out of their zone or, you know what I mean? They don't watch. And if they do sit down and watch a full game, they're probably on their phone for most of it. So it's just they're just not as smart, I don't think, anymore, right? They're just kind of, some guys are tunnel vision. Some guys, you're like, where did you watch hockey? You know? So I think that's one big thing. I wish, like I learned, I think I was smart at hockey because, or I had a good hockey IQ because I grew up watching the London Knights, and my dad would take me 4 years old and I would just sit there and watch every Friday night. I didn't even watch Zamboni go round and round. I didn't move. And I just watched hockey for years. And that's brought up my hockey IQ, and it kind of helped me with my success in hockey.
Can I ask, what was that experience like going to those games with your dad? Because you just gave me a little bit of deja vu myself personally. I remember my dad taking me to skate for the first time when I was 4 years old, and I could close my eyes and I could smell the arena and feel that experience. Was it the same way for you with your dad?
Yeah. Every Friday, my dad and his buddies would pick, or me and my dad would go. We'd meet them at the bar. They'd be playing pool. I'd be, I don't know, sitting there having some chicken wings and a Coke, and we'd go to the game, and we would, back then, my dad was, he would just leave me, like back then he would just leave me. The same people would watch me during the intermission when the Zamboni was going around, and my dad and his buddies would go out to the bar and have a beer and smoke. And I would sit there and watch the Zamboni go round and round, and they would just come back. I wouldn't even know they were gone most of the time. And I remember my first game when I played for the London Knights, my dad ran into the guys that used to watch me in between periods when they went out for a beer and a smoke. And he said, Kevin, good to see you. They hadn't seen each other in years. And he said, how's Brandon doing? And he said, well, he's right out there, number 33. And they were like, no way. And so it was pretty cool. And then I ended up meeting them after the game. And, I didn't even really know they were watching me back in the day. They were just the guys in the standing room with them, and they just kept an eye on me. It's not like they were kind of sitting beside me. They were just kind of up behind me. And I guess they were my little guardians.
Oh, man, that's so awesome. You couldn't do that nowadays. They'd be calling Child and Family Services on your dad.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure.
I'm curious, now that you're in a coaching realm and you talked about the attention of a lot of these players, it's weird because, again, coming from the generation where you would see a guy who had, even a cup of coffee in the show be like, oh, I remember you playing in this game, where now these kids can go home and literally pull up clips of you on YouTube and say, I saw you last night, that game against whoever. Is there a different kind of, respect's the wrong word, but a different kind of connection that the players have with your time playing in the league?
And I think they know that you've been through it, and they know you've been coached by a lot of guys. And so it is kind of, I think, a different type of respect thing, right? They know, I have a lot of London Knights players that are going to be kind of going up to the Knights, right? And they know, my hockey career started with Dale Hunter, and he's still coaching there. So, and I coach a very similar way to him. Sorry, my cat's trying to get in the picture here, crawling around. But sometimes these guys are sending hockey fights of me. It's on our team chat. They'll throw on some old school hockey fights that I got into, and or send them to me on Instagram or something like that. So it's good. And I think they definitely always appreciate, and even our coach Roman Nader, he's played lots of pro. And so guys know that. They know that you've been through it, and they know that you've been through an era of where it was hard-nosed hockey as well, right? So I think it definitely helps with the coaching and them listening to what you're trying to teach.
And hey, more hockey content. It's might be old, it might be new, it might be a full episode, it might be a half episode, but you can click these boxes because who doesn't like clicking boxes?